Hello, hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Chelsea J Experience, where I give you uncensored and unfiltered advice on all things career and business because I made all the mistakes so you don't have to. Today, we are going to talk about the questions that you need to ask at the end of every interview. So let's go ahead and hop in. All right. One of the questions that I get a lot whenever I'm doing my interviewing coaching is, Chelsea, what questions do I need to ask at the end of an interview? And I often turn the question back at them and I say, hey, what questions do you want to ask? And I usually get a lot of fluff. And when I say fluff, I'm talking about what are some traits that you need to see in the person for this role that will help them succeed? Or I'll hear them ask about, oh, tell me about, this specific project on this specific date and what was the outcome of this. But let's get real. None of that really matters. And do you really care in the grand scheme of things? No, that is not my personal approach when it comes to being a candidate in an interview. I want you to ask questions that matter to you. A lot of the times, candidates always forget that they are actually interviewing the interviewer as well, right? They're not the only one during the interviewing. And yes, you may want a job, you may be in a situation where you're like, I need to hurry up and get a job, but let's make sure that that job is actually one that you want and that you want to keep and stay at. Because if you don't ask the questions that you need to ask up front, and then you get there and you realize, crap, I didn't expect this, or this isn't the place for me, then what happens? You have to start your job search all over again. And we all know how tough and stressful and just time consuming that the job search can be. So I want to make sure that you know what you're getting into and that you find the job that you want the first time. Mistakes happen, but let's try to avoid that. First of all, when it comes to the questions that you need to ask at the end of the interview, yes, you need to ask them. I always say ask 3 to 4, or actually as many as you need to make sure that you have a full understanding of the company, the culture, and the role. I want you right now to take out a piece of paper and write down what your values are. What are you looking for in an organization? What motivates you in a role and what excites you about a role? Because this interview is all about you. It is not about the interviewer. You need to know what it is that you need, what makes you tick, what makes you go, yes, this is the place for me. So when we talk about values and things that matter, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for work-life balance? Are you looking for community? Are you looking for good benefits? Are you looking for a position that allows you to take additional training so that you can advance your career, or a career that gives you an opportunity to do a lot of networking? What is important to you? That is what will frame your questions. And when I say that, let me give you an example. If having a manager that is a little bit hands off, but also supportive and allows you to take ownership of your projects and the initiatives that you're working on, okay, that means that you care about management style. So you need to ask a couple questions that are related to management style. One of the things that I recommend is always finding out who your direct report will be. So when you're in that interview, ask, hey, who will I be reporting to? Are they currently in the room? Hopefully they are. They absolutely should be. And if they are in the room, you need to ask a follow-up question and say, hey, I'm curious, what is your management style? Now, I'm going to insert this just so you know. If they don't have an answer, or if they are stumbling all over their answer, that might be a slight red flag, because all managers and leaders should know what their management style is. You need to ask that question for sure. All right. And you can also, if they stumble, you can get a sense of another type of, management style just by simply asking, how do you prefer your employees to function and interact when you are absent. If they tell you, oh, if I'm not here, just send me emails or pass it along to this person or make sure you get approval for this. If their answer doesn't involve collaboration and taking ownership, they might be a bit of a micromanager. They might not trust their staff. That's just something to keep in mind. Now, if you are a person that cares about collaboration and teamwork and being in a tight-knit circle with the people that you work with, ask about the team. How does the team work together? How often do they communicate? How often do they meet? Are there a lot of group projects? Ask about that. And also make sure to ask if any of your, future or potential team members are sitting in the room so that you can start to get a feel for their energy, what they're looking for, and how it is you would interact with them. My favorite question is asking about the culture. Because if you follow me on LinkedIn, you know that I talk a lot about toxic environments, and that includes colleagues and managers as well. You want to ask about the culture because it will make or break your experience there. Here's a question that most people are okay with answering, and if they can't, it's a red flag. Ask them, if you could describe your culture in one word, what would it be? If they are not able to give you a word, or they're stumbling, or they say, nobody's ever asked us that before, that might be a red flag. Management and everyone in that room should be able to openly and confidently express what their culture looks like, and they should be excited to do that for you. Now, another way that you can ask that question is, hey, can you tell me what excites you about the culture here? And that's more of an open-ended answer, and they can kind of go on and on. And if it's a good working environment, they will go on and on. Fun fact, I asked a question in an interview one time about the culture and what, the interviewers liked about working there. And they told me that they love the free coffee and snacks. If anybody tells you that, run as fast as you can. All right. If you want to know, it's kind of one of those questions that they always tell you to ask, but it is a good one. I'll give it that. But you can always ask about expectations and how your work will be measured, because that is important. You do want to go into a working environment and know how you're going to be graded for the most part. We'll just use that word, right? So what are your expectations of the person coming into the role? Are there certain goals that you want them to achieve within the next 3 to 6 months? And this is one of those questions which will give you insight into some of their challenges or problems or things that weren't done in the past. And pay attention and listen to the answers that they give you, because sometimes you need to be able to read between the lines, right? Because they could be throwing out red flags, and it might not be the place if there's a lot of challenges, or, they badmouth previous people that were in the position that didn't get those goals done. All right. And also some of those challenges may end with late nights and weekend work, and you want to make sure to avoid something like that unless you're up for it. Finally, do not be afraid to ask about the last person in the role. What you can do if you don't want to come out and say, hey, why did the last person leave? You can say, is this a new position? And often they will go into what happened to that previous person and why that position is vacant. That is one of the important things that you need to know, because people leave positions for a reason. Now, if they say, oh, that person, they just got a promotion, they moved up. Okay, excellent. Great, right? Because you want to know that there's upward mobility, which actually leads into another question that you can ask. What does upward mobility in this position look like for me? Especially if you're one of those people that you're interested in growing your career with that company and you want to be able to get a promotion and more money and more exposure and opportunities. Don't be afraid to ask about that. All right, so I threw a lot of questions at you today. I can always do a part two to this if you would like me to. Just make sure to leave a comment below. And if you have questions that you've asked in interviews that you've gotten really good feedback from, make sure to leave that in the comment section as well, because I would love to hear about what worked for you, what didn't work, or if this, sparked some other thoughts like, oh, hey, I didn't know I could ask that. Leave that as well. I just want to hear your feedback. All right, I hope that this was helpful. Good luck on your next interview. You are going to kill it. I know that. You'll do amazing. Make sure to ask the questions that you need to determine if this is truly a fit for you. All right, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. All right, until next time, bye.